Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame, and welcome to the Lion's Gate. We are now in this week, the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, this last week and beginning week, this last week of July, the beginning week of August, coming into the first moments of what we call the Lionsgate portal. And the Lionsgate portal is the 8-8, is when we celebrate it. What it is the celebration of is the rising, the re-emergence of the stellar dimension of Sirius into our pre-dawn skies. So the actual moment of rising will be different depending on where on this beautiful planet you happen to be residing. But when we come into this time period of the 26th of July, that portal of energy really starts to open. It's kind of when the first moments of the heliocentric rising, that re-emergence from its conjunction on the 7-7 with our soul star, that Sirius re-emerges. Now this week, this final week of July, coming into the first couple of days of August, is definitely roaring. So this is what we're going to talk about today, all right? There is so much happening between the 30th of July and the 2nd of August that indicates a time of resetting our systems, detoxifying, realigning, and really coming into self-awareness, self-care, treating the self with love. So let's look at some of the energies that are facilitating this, and we're going to go kind of in order. All right. So the first thing that is happening this week of very powerful note is that on the 30th of July at 5:09 a.m. Pacific time, Chiron at the 27th degree of Aries, which means also conjunct the Andromeda Galaxy, and a side note, my own personal Chiron, will be turning retrograde. So this Chiron retrograde is going to move all the way until the next year, the 2nd of January. In point of fact, Chiron will turn back around at 4:06 a.m. Pacific time at the 22nd degree of Aries. So this is a nice long Chiron retrograde, taking us all the way back to the 22nd degree, nice 5-degree shifting of energy. So if you happen to have a Chiron between 27 and 22 degrees of Aries, this retrograde is happening with you. So as Chiron shifts backwards, we get to explore all of those things that the Chiron in Aries represents within ourselves. And this is fear of abandonment, fear that if we speak our own truth, if we share ourselves, our true I am presence, we may be left out in the cold. And we have been getting lots and lots and lots and lots of practice in this. And with Saturn and Neptune already retrograde at the beginning of Aries, this is being really brought in, right? What does it mean to me, to I, to stand up and say, I am. One of my favorite meditations with this, and this Chiron retrograde season would be a great time to play with this, is to breathe, I am. And as you first start this practice, notice all of the different words, all of the different labels, all of the different energies that emerge within your being after you say, I am. How do you fill in that space afterwards? I am female. I am male. I am a being. I am a daughter. I am a son. I am an aunt. I am an uncle. I am a mother. I am a father. I am a sister. I am a brother. All these labels that we take in, we identify as our self. And then all of the things. I am an alpha male. I am a good girl. That all of the cords that are attached to that word, to that label, to that idea of who we are. Connect to the cord. Feel, allow each word that emerges after you say, I am, to move through your entire being, feeling what it feels like in your heart, that word. Feeling what it feels like in your root, in your sacral center, in your power center, in your throat. Say the word. What it feels like in your mind. Feel if it's weighing you down or if it's lifting you up. Feel if it's still true for you. And whether it's true or not, feel what it feels like to let it go. And then come back and say, I am again. Now, this meditation can be a very long process. It can be a journaling process. It can be an embodied meditation where you're really shaking, 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 where you're roaring like the lion of this Lionsgate. The important factor, because each and every one of us will have different words emerge. Each and every one of us will have a different relationship to those words because of our unique experience. No single person on this planet, I don't even care if you grew up in the same house, ever experiences the same thing. We each have our own unique experience of each moment, of each situation. I'll share for myself. I grew up as a child in a pretty intense house. I'm very close with my younger sister, who's only 15 months apart from me, and had the experience of basically raising my younger brother, who was 7 years younger than me. My sister and I, 15 months apart, have completely different experiences of what it was like to grow up in that house. We can hold space for one another. We can witness each other's experience. But with that understanding that how I experienced that household and how she experienced that household were different. And then we can help each other remember the true I am. Perhaps you have someone in your life that you've had in your life for a long period of time, such as me and my sister, that you can play in this journey with, that you can meditate with, that you can go into a deep diving conversation with about some of these I ams and allow them to be mirror, reflecting what they see as you reflect back at them, what you see in them, and we together in that dance get to play. We get to play with those places where we're telling old stories about ourselves, where we're not feeling seen wholly by even those that are the closest to us. Aries and Chiron really invites us to play with this. Now, there's another thing that's happening just a few hours later, which is really bringing this home. And I mean home. Because just a few hours, about 8:55 p.m. Pacific to be exact, Venus is going to enter Cancer. Now, Venus is exalted in Cancer. Venus loves being all lovey in the sign of belonging. So, well, Venus is in Cancer, which it will be until the 25th of August, just a couple days after the first of our 2 Virgo new moons. We are playing with those energies of home, of belonging, of tribe, and of all of the ways that we can luxuriate in them. Now, of course, because at that moment, when Venus enters Cancer, the planet of love and magnetism, of desire, of manifestation, of creation magic, will be making a square to Saturn and Neptune at the beginning of Aries in retrograde. We can feel how those faulty foundations upon which we had rested our belonging are likely to be revealed during this turning, especially with that Chiron retrograde starting just before. This could be a bit of a tense time on the home front, but remembering that what is occurring is a shedding of all of those false foundations, all of those places where we have anchored our I am into a place that is not actually our truth. So it can be released, so that we can be released from that false narrative. Why don't we say false narrative? Now, Venus is going to be traveling through Cancer all throughout the month of August, for the most part, right? We're going to get a lot of opportunity to play with self-love. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this update, this week is a time for setting the table, for creating the energetic template for that which will follow. For myself personally, this is a very beautiful and powerful nutritional detox. So I'm having a activated charcoal shot in the mornings, and I've created this beautiful menu for myself of whole, organic, unprocessed foods and lots of waters and teas and smoothies, and really allowing all of the microbiomes and mast cells and all of the bloods and all of the little beings within my being to feel nourished and nurtured as well. And to clear out anything, any toxic buildup that may have come into my system in the days and weeks and months previous. Now, as Venus enters Cancer and starts making that square to Saturn and Neptune on the 31st of July, the Sun and Mercury join one another. Now, the exact moment of this Mercury retrograde Sol conjunction will be 4:37 p.m. in the Pacific time zone, July 31st. At this moment, this conjunction at right around 8-9 degrees of Leo is inviting us once again. Feel how this update, this transmission has been inviting us to look at the ways that we identify in our mental plane. This particular conjunction with Mercury retrograde invites us to feel all of those words. Venus in Cancer, feel all of the ways that the labels, the masks, the words after I am move through us. Perhaps ask us to be smaller than we are, that ask us to stand over here and not in the center of the stage. This is Leo, the sun in Leo, the house that the sun built as we're moving into the Lionsgate. What stories are you expressing to the parts of your being? What story do you tell your thighs? What story do you tell your big toe? What story do you tell your eyes? What story do you tell your heart? What stories have you been running about who you are in this physical plane? About who you are, what you feel, about what you think, and what it means to be a spiritual being. And allow, as that I am meditation moves through, allowing yourself, that's a capital S on that self, allowing yourself to rise up through it all and feel the things that you really feel. Not the stories that your mom or dad or aunt or uncle or sister or brother told you about who you are. Your friends, your guru, your counselor, but what you truly feel about who you are. What really lights you up and what really weighs you down. Then on the 1st of August, we have the waxing first quarter moon in Scorpio. So this squaring moon, this growing squaring moon, squaring Mercury and the Sun. Loosely squaring Pluto in Aquarius as well, right? As the light of the moon continues to grow, we are gifted more growth to those seeds that we planted in that void space. Scorpio, of course, is deeply felt energy. It is an invitation to get into those more sludgy places, to feel the growth in that compost that is possible. Remember, Chiron is the wounded healer. It is through these navigations of these depths, through this murk that, like the lotus, grows and finds its nutrients, we too access our gifts. We transform karma to dharma through the recognition of it. Through the recognition that karma is not a curse, but a gift. And this week, as we flow through all of these energies, we are being gifted those rememberings that what exists within the deepest recesses of our being, all of that fear and guilt, all of the trauma that we have experienced, is a gift that we are getting to alchemize. We get to touch it, feel it, let it go. Let it return to the light, that it may also be reborn. And through that, we too are reborn. So, on the 30th of July, Chiron turns right round, round. On the 30th of July, a few hours later, Venus, spinning forward, enters that Z point, that 0 point of Cancer. On the 31st, Mercury and the Sun make their conjunction, retrograde Mercury and the Sun make their conjunction in Leo. There will be another conjunction when Mercury turns round again as well in Virgo. More on that later. On the 1st of August, we have the first quarter moon in Scorpio. And on the 2nd of August. So there has been this funny thing that I keep on seeing in my various news feeds, and it keeps permeating through all of the fields. And that is that on the 2nd of August of 2025, there's going to be a 7-minute long solar eclipse. No, 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 no. The 2nd of August, 2027, absolutely. There is going to be a massive, beautiful, brilliant 7-minute long solar eclipse that's going to go through the Iberian Peninsula. It's going to go through Giza in Egypt. It's going to darken pretty much that entire hemisphere of the planet and more. It's a big eclipse. It is not this year. If you're seeing things about there being a solar eclipse on August 2nd of this year, unless we've done a pretty major timeline shift, which we've done some, but I don't think we've done quite that one yet, we will not be having a solar eclipse. This does not, however, mean that there isn't something spectacular and special happening on that day, because there absolutely is. We have talked about yods before, fingers of God, right? That beautiful energy of the sextile, that gifting bridge that is the sextile between two bodies pointing in conjunctly at another. Our friend Pluto that we just mentioned is involved in this particular yod that reaches its exactness on the 2nd of August. Venus in Cancer also is part of this yod. Venus in Cancer. We have already talked about some of the yumminess that is involved in Venus in Cancer, right? Finding all of those ways to luxuriate in our unique belonging, our true belonging, and to generate within ourselves care and nurturing. Saturn will be, sorry, not Saturn, Venus at that moment will be, I just had somebody on the scaffolding next to me start banging on something, and scaffolding, I instantly went into Saturn. Venus on the 2nd of August will be at 2 degrees of Cancer. At 2 degrees, of Aquarius, we of course have Pluto still retrograde. And at 2 degrees of Virgo, sextile to Venus, we have the asteroid named Isa. Now, Isa is Jehovah or Yeshua or Jesus. It is the name given to Jesus in the Quran. Isa means teacher. So when people would call Jesus Rabbi, Rabbi, Isa, teacher. The teacher of the Christ consciousness, the remembering of the embodiment of our divine light, will be at 2 degrees of Virgo. Exactly sextile to Venus. So we have a divine masculine, Christos energy. We have a divine feminine, Sophia, wisdom energy. They are creating this magnificent gifting bridge between the sign of belonging and the sign of healing, Virgo. And they are pointing in conjunctly in that finger of God sort of way, in that yod, directly at Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. Now, of course, we have talked about the medicine of Pluto in Aquarius, and as Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius, this medicine of introspection, of shadow work for everyone is on full display. We get to experience the full, true reflection of our being. That which we call demon and that which we call divine. And find those places wherein they are called to unite. To find the divine within our shadows. And to find the shadows within our divine. The peanut butter and the chocolate of the Reese's peanut butter cup, if you will. Making both more true, more delicious. At this same time, Venus will be exactly square something called the supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra. The supergalactic center is like our Milky Way galactic center, that which our Milky Way revolves around with its neighboring cluster of galaxies, including the Andromeda, which will be exactly conjunct Chiron at its place of turning round. Feel, if you will, how we are being gifted this opportunity to see the universe, the all universe, in different ways. That's what a square helps us to do. To feel the love of the divine permeate through every single aspect of you. Now, Isa will be working with Uranus during this time period in square. Uranus, our friend there in the early degrees of Gemini. Now, interestingly, Uranus during this time period will also be exactly conjunct the asteroid named for Lakshmi. So Lakshmi is a goddess of fertility, of prosperity, of beauty. Many of us will call upon Lakshmi when we feel that there is something we're struggling to manifest. Gemini is the sign of expression, of communication. It reminds us that everything we think and feel is what we create in the world. And this Uranus-Lakshmi conjunction that's occurring exactly during this week of powerful opening portal of the Lionsgate is an invitation for us to awaken. There's that Uranus energy. For us to awaken to our unique capacity to create in this world, because each and every one of us does it differently, and that is the real secret. How one person manifests, how one person creates may have a resonance with the way that another person creates, but the actual point of fact is that the way you do it will look different than the way that I do it. And this is part of that I am meditation that has been weaving through this entire update. Through this expression of that I am, releasing all those words that follow those first two, I am. We are coming into greater connection with the true and unique way that we create the world. I hope that this update has served and that you have received the medicine that most needed to be received by you in it. I would love to hear in the comments if there's something that you would like to share. Please do subscribe and ring the bell and, all the things. The Lionsgate portal itself and the Aquarius full moon are mere hours apart as well. The Lionsgate at 8-8 and the Aquarius full moon 8-9, the 9th of August. I will be in Mount Shasta, it seems, for this auspicious event and facilitating our remote healing in whatever form it happens to take for our Blue Flame members portal over on Circle. The invitation is there if it calls to you to come and explore this community, to share in the groove and witness and receive. If it calls, it would be an honor to welcome you. I have a feeling that the rose dragons are coming in to make an appearance because on the day of Chiron's retrograde, they will be exactly across the wheel at 27 of Libra. And with that, my loves, as always, in the always, so much and many loves to you from the dimensions of the all and beyond, beyond.